Hi there, I'm Kelly Montgomery Hutchings, and this is Thriving Together. And y'all, I really have a very, very special show for you today. I have one of my most favorite people in the whole world in the studio with me. His name is Andrew Jacob Brown, and he is a director, a producer, a writer, an actor, an extras wrangler, an actor getter, everything that you can imagine that goes with putting together a movie or a TV show. This man has done it, and I have been honored to be in one of his productions called After, which is going to be coming out soon, but we'll be talking about that later. Stay tuned. And to learn a little bit about Andrew. So, we're going to just start off from birth. No, I'm kidding.
This is the time you can, lock the doors, popcorn, however, I don't know.
No, this is something you want to sit for, because Andrew is an amazing guy. He's very humble. He's not going to say he's amazing to y'all, but I will, because I love him, and he's wonderful. Andrew is a director, a producer, a writer, which I don't get writing, because I'll see something and I'll be like, I could have thought of that. But then, writer, actor, lead man, guys, lead man. Location scout, wardrobe, makeup.
As titles.
It's titles, but it's all things. Oh, let's see, sound, camera, editing. My gosh, he does it all. He's a one-man show.
A lot of I've dabbled in, but okay.
But what made you want to do this? What got you into this line of work?
All right, unscripted.
Unscripted.
I came in here unplanned.
We're raw.
I mean, literally unplanned.
Yeah, we haven't rehearsed anything.
Okay, so what got this started is the question? Mm-hmm. What made me want to do it?
Yes.
Like most people, I would say, I like movies since I was a kid. It was always, if you had nothing to do, go put on a movie.
Right.
Back to the VHS tapes when you could record 3 movies and put them on one tape.
Don't be unkind. Remember to rewind.
But that didn't motivate me to try to do this. It just, I've always loved movies. I think a lot of people did in my era, Mm-hmm. And I remember I went over to a friend's house to stay the night. He had a bunch of friends over. It's probably like 4 or 5 of us. And it was a party, a birthday party. I think I was 12 years old. And the neighbor kid came over and he had a video camera. He had one of those little Sony Handycams.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was an 8mm tape. And I was like, what do we do with this? We record each other. Really? like in the movies, right?
Yeah.
Let's make a movie. So we made this cheesy 15-minute movie called The Thing, and it made no sense at all, but it was just us 4 or 5 kids running around doing dumb things. And but I remember watching it and laughing with my friends, and I was like, I gotta get me one of those. I gotta get a camera. And that was the dabbling. Right?
And how old were you?
I was 12.
12.
And
wow.
Let's see if I can give you just the highlights, because my story's long. They always are. But I ended up working a whole summer and to save up for this $700 camera. And I think my math teacher was paying me $4 an hour under the table. $4 an hour. So $4 an hour, 4 hours a day after school. I was making $16. What is it? $16?
Yeah.
Times 4.
Yeah.
$16.
Oh God, math.
I'm just kidding. But about $16 a day, I was like, man, I'm not gonna make it, but my mom was so proud of me that I got like halfway there or something. She goes, you know what? I'm gonna pay the rest. So I got my camera.
Mom.
Yeah, Mom.
Mom.
I love you, Mom. It's all about you. But I ended up filming everything. Basketball games. I did my own commercials with my friends, and that carried on for 2-3 years. But I never had that thought, I'm gonna grow up and be like Spielberg. That never crossed my mind. In fact, I was more, because I've always been a creative. I've always been an artist, but I was more of a physical artist. I did martial arts. I did basketball. Like those 2 things is what I grew up doing. Like it was all about watching the NBA and Bruce Lee. Like that was my life. And but I remember the basketball thing was kind of coming to an end for me because I was starting to get older, and but I was 27, and I read the whole Left Behind books.
Oh.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't read. Okay, so when I read those, because I was so infatuated about the Left Behind series. Now, I'll save it because this is about my love for the art and what I do and why I want to do it. So I will save my testimony for another time. If you want to talk about my testimony. Okay. In fact, there's plenty of videos you can find of me on my testimony. But I had already been giving my life over to Jesus, and I started reading these Left Behind books, and I just loved it. And at the end, I thought, I'm going to make my own story. I want to write my own story. Now, I didn't think faith-based, but I was writing an action novel, and I thought, I'll make everything symbolic. So I was thinking like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, like a Narnia kind of deal. So it was a martial arts action adventure, right? Okay. Now hear me out. Like I wrote this novel, and every day, because I was a security guard back in the day, I had nothing to do, and so I had all this time to like write 4 hours a day when I was doing nothing after work, and I was writing this novel, and I get it all done, 500 pages, right?
Okay.
500 pages. I write this novel, and I'm like, okay, now I want to get it published. How do I do that? right? So you're thinking, man, this is. So I start looking into it, and lo and behold, I found my hero at the time, Jerry Jenkins. Not Dallas Jenkins, Jerry Jenkins. Jerry wrote the Left Behind books with Tim LaHaye. So I found Jerry, and I found his email, and I emailed him. And I thought I was going to get his receptionist or something. I said, hey, struggling with this distribution game, and I could use some advice, and I'm not turning any heads right now, and I don't know what to do. And I hope you respond back. 2 days later, responded back.
The actual guy.
I said, I really hope I hear from you. And he goes, this is Jerry.
Oh my gosh.
He goes, Andrew, why don't you, I love it. I could just read into what he was saying. He goes, Andrew, why don't you go ahead and send me your first 5 pages, and I'll take a look at it. Man, I was excited. I thought my world was about ready to come to life. I sent him my first 5 pages, and then he just destroyed me. he critiqued it, and I thought, man, I was like, maybe he's misunderstood. I was like, I got a prologue, right? I thought that mattered, how you start your story.
Yeah.
He goes, why don't you go ahead and send me that? He destroyed it like 2 times, but he took the time to do this.
Yeah.
Which I thought was amazing. And I had, at the time, it was too much telling, not enough showing in your writing. And I thought, you know what, I probably should do what I've always done, learn. And I'm emphasizing this part of the story because a lot of people today that I've seen in this business don't want to learn. They just self-proclaim.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest. If you want to know one thing about me, is I'm going to tell you the truth. But that's the truth. I didn't know what I was doing. So I went to town. I bought the Write Great Fiction series. And they had one on plot, one on dialogue, one on all these things. I read the whole thing. I read a book called How to Not Write a Novel. I had all these different books.
Did you get the book Novels for Dummies?
I did, actually.
Did you?
I did. One of them for dummies. It was either the novel or screenwriting. I can't remember which one it was.
That's funny.
But I'll speed this up. But I spent 5 years creating this novel, learning how to write, and I didn't even like reading. That's what was so weird about my story, is I didn't like reading. I just wanted to make a story. But the question was, especially for my wife, she was like, why didn't you just learn how to write a screenplay? I thought it was too hard. Now, it is hard if you don't know what you're doing. There's rules there too. But I took the hard route by writing a novel, because you got to be descriptive, and you got to get into detail, and you have a plot, and you have a plot within the plot. There's so much to it. And you got to carry people for 400 or 500 pages. And lo and behold, that was never my gifting. I am not a detail-oriented person. I'm a good planner, as you've seen, like with after and all that.
Very good.
But I'm not detail-oriented, and that's like as a natural gifting. That's more my wife. And I switched over to screenwriting, and it was about 2012. So I had 5 years from 07 to 12, had all this writing experience, and then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna learn how to write a screenplay. So I bought the Screenwriter's Bible. Everybody knows the Screenwriter's Bible. Always had many editions. David Trotter. So I read that, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna write my first screenplay. So I tried to convert my novel, which is called Haven, The Fate of the Four Races. That was my novel. And you can't find it today because it's not out there. It will go back up one day. But with the screenwrite, I tried to convert my novel to a screenplay, and that's like the hardest thing in the world to do. And this was just why when you watch movies, like big ones like Lord of the Rings or something, like you're losing stuff. Well, of course you are. You're losing like you're only getting like a fourth of a book. So it was a complete flop. I put it into contest and it was terrible. And then I thought, no, I need to start from scratch, a whole new story. So I wrote a whole new story, and it was just a simple story about a woman MMA fighter who wanted to commit suicide, and she stopped herself from committing suicide to help her niece, who had threw away her life. And then she ends up in this underground fighting circuit, and they become like this friend. You know, the friendship grows back to what it was. This niece and this. Anyways, it was just a simple 90-page ride, and I threw it into a contest, and I took fourth out of like 1,500 people. And then I threw it in the Nashville Film Festival, and I took second out of 2,100 people. And so I thought, okay, something's to this. And what I learned is I was more in my gifting. When you're writing screenplay, you got to get straight to the point. When you're writing novel, you got to get descriptive and get into it. Right. And you didn't have to do that. So I was kind of cheating with all this training. I was like, and then I went back to the way my brain worked, and then just applied the rules of writing, and I just kind of took off from there. And I wrote another screenplay. And so the love was, going back to your original question, it was writing. I like storytelling. I like to write. And I just wanted to tell a story. I just wanted to write. But the problem was no one could see my stories. So I had all these scripts sitting on my shelf, you know, in the terms of, I guess, a computer nowadays.
Right.
Who puts them on a shelf. But so I did have a run there. I had that story, In Debt Deep was the name of it. It was optioned, but it never got made. I had Millennium Films, which is a huge production company. They made movies like Olympus Has Fallen, you know those movies. And I was able to pitch to them one of my other scripts called The Opposer, just other scripts that I did, and I get close, but it was always no cigars, you know. And I thought, man, I am tired of this. Because if you know anything about me, I can't go halfway.
That's the absolute truth.
I just can't, and it's the way God made me. I didn't have a father growing up. That's something personal. So my mom always put me into things that kept me busy, and I was always driven. And I'm still that way. But I do want to say this, and I'll get into the acting in the films, but there's a little segue here. Like, hard work, that whole thing that we've been sold on, hard work pays off. All you can do is work hard and you'll get your dream.
Right.
That's not true. And it's not true in a lot of areas. You know, especially in the creative arts. I'm just going to say that.
That's true.
Or if you're a sports player. I mean, I wanted to be an NBA basketball player. I had 4 ABA tryouts, and I was good enough to be there, but not to make the team. There's 400 people in the NBA that get to play. Like, those are people that are touched by God. Here's a little stat for the creative, so hopefully you'll like this. I looked up the numbers a little while back, and there's roughly in the world, there's 170 SAG actors-ish. There's 2 million working union actors in the world, and there's about 4 million amateur actors. So there's 6 million actors in the world, all hoping to get noticed to get that big break.
Right.
To be that, now I got news for you. There's only a handful of people in the world in the studios that are calling those shots.